the predicament of the Palestinian children under occupation. But the question is, will it move this House? Indecision is complicity, as she rightly reminded us. We also listened with deep empathy to Ms. Ilana Grzycki. We sincerely hope for the safe and swift reunification of her family and all of those still in captivity. And we wish the same for those thousands of Palestinians illegally detained and mistreated by the Israeli occupation for prolonged periods. Healing there must be for everyone. Healing that corresponds to the human suffering of all. Healing that would eventually close and cure the wounds inflicted by decades of occupation. Healing for which there can be no better dressing than justice and international law. Healing that can start now with a ceasefire. Yet we are in an endless war imposed by the occupier. Mr. President, it has now been 691 days of unrelenting tragedy in Gaza. During this period, Israel has trampled every principle of international law and international humanitarian law with utter impunity. More than 62,000 Palestinians have been killed, among them over 19,000 children, 10,000 women, and at least over 270 journalists and over 360 UN aid workers. Civilian life has been deliberately and systematically dismantled. Even Israel's own military data, as reported in the international media, admits that 83% of those killed are civilians. How can this ever be justified or defended? This cannot be collateral damage. It is mass carnage. Today, no place in Gaza is safe. Yet the indiscriminate military onslaught continues because Israel is confronted with no real consequences for its actions. Hospitals, schools, homes, nothing has been spared. The world is now witnessing live-streamed killing of journalists and rescue workers. The strikes on the Nasser medical complex were appalling and condemnable, yes, but yet they are tragically familiar, part of a grim pattern. There are those who shield Israel and try to silence this council into inaction. What else is complicity? In fact, impunity has become Israel's shield and this council's silence its enabler. The occupying powers' apologists must introspect and objectively assess the consequences of their policies. Mr. President, as if bombs were not enough, hunger is now a weapon of mass destruction. The latest IPC analysis confirms famine is now present in Gaza City, threatening over 500,000 people. The use of starvation of civilians as method of warfare may constitute a war crime. Undersecretary General Tom Fletcher rightly observed. And those are strong words. They need to be repeated in this council. And I quote, "It is a famine we could have prevented. if we had been allowed. Yet, food stacks up at borders because of systematic obstruction by Israel. It is a famine in 2025, a 21st century famine. Mr. President, it is not by negating or criticizing and pressurizing the United Nations and its senior officials, or by denying and rejecting the findings of the ICJ and of global human rights and humanitarian organizations, or by silencing the media that we can move forward. It is only by accepting the reality that we can build peace. Pakistan condemns Israel's so-called military operation and planned full occupation of Gaza City, which is nothing but a blueprint for further humanitarian catastrophe, threatening to displace once more up to 1 million people. Simultaneously, annexation in the West Bank and East Jerusalem continues unabated. The E1 settlement plan is a deliberate attempt to bury the two-state solution. We strongly condemn this action, which constitutes a clear violation of international law, including Security Council resolutions. The combined effect of mass killing, displacement, famine, settlements, and destruction of habitable land leaves no ambiguity. This is a campaign of ethnic cleansing in plain sight. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation, at its 21st extraordinary session of the Council of Foreign Ministers on 25th August, adopted a resolution that speaks with moral clarity. It has urged this Council to act promptly under Chapter 7 to stop the brutal aggression by the Israeli occupation and its violations, which threaten the prospects for achieving a just, lasting, and comprehensive peace in the region and hinder the implementation of the two-state solution. It has also urged the Council to hold Israel, the occupying power, accountable for all crimes and violations that clearly breach international law and international humanitarian law. The Security Council cannot remain a bystander. It must act now, with resolve, to fulfill its charter responsibility for the maintenance of international peace and security. It must demand, first, an immediate, permanent, and unconditional ceasefire across Gaza and the occupied Palestinian territory, with full implementation of Security Council Resolution 2735. We appreciate and support the efforts led by the United States, Egypt, and Qatar, and hope these will result in an early ceasefire. Second, an immediate and unconditional lifting of all restrictions on the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza and its safe and unhindered distribution to the population in need of such assistance, as well as the restoration of all essential services. Third, release of all hostages and exchange of Palestinian prisoners. Fourth, a halt to Israel's declared intent to occupy Gaza City. And fifth, an end to forced displacement, illegal settlement expansion, and annexations in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Mr. President, lasting peace requires a credible political horizon, one grounded in international law, leading to the realization of a sovereign, viable, and contiguous Palestinian state based on the pre-1967 borders, with Al-Quds al-Sharif as its capital. Occupation must end, for that is the actual root cause of instability in the Middle East. The high-level conference on peaceful settlement of the Palestinian question and the implementation of the two-state solution was co-chaired by Saudi Arabia and France last month, was a timely initiative. It respects the will of the international community. That must be respected. It must be followed by concrete and coordinated international action to finally achieve the long-coveted peace and stability in the Middle East. Mr. President, every moment of inaction deepens the suffering that we are all here talking about. It multiplies the grief and tears apart the very fabric of international law. The world is watching. History will not forgive delay. It will not forget inaction. The Council must rise to its chartered duty and act. I thank you.
Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: African politics, economy, and increasing power. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.
Tell us what you think in the comment section. Like and share the video, and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our African videos. It's the best way to support us.